Out here chilling with my washer. It's dryer. It's dryer. My dryer. I just bought it. Bought it for $30. Selling it for 150. It'll sell. You know, make a couple dollars off of it. 120. You know what I'm saying? Just outside chilling. Just decided to come out before I go back in. You know, I need to go to the store and get some orange juice, but I'm not. I need to eat. I'm hungry. Oh yeah, I come outside every day. Look at my truck, see if this asshole put another dent in it. It's something men don't do, but that's how this guy gets off, damaging people's property. He damages people's property. You know, I've seen him do it to a couple people. He'll get his. Then when you confront him, he calls the police. Anyways, a lot of people are moving. A lot of people moving away from here. You know, that rent went up $200. Yeah, that was big. You know, the rent went up, and you didn't make the place any better. So you got people who are just blowing her out. Saturday, I usually go hunting for refrigerators, you know, stuff like that on the side of the road. But I don't do that. I don't do it that much anymore. It's a lot of driving around and not finding stuff, and then taking it to the junkyard and getting $30 for it, which is cool if you can get a couple trips. So if you can get 2 trips in a day, that's 70, 60, $70 easy. You know, so it's a nice way to compensate for whatever little bill you got going on. And if you do it, three, 4 times a week, I mean, it's a come up. I mean, it really is. Uh, but I found, so I was, when I went and picked this dryer up, I saw a fridge at this house, and it was by outside, but it was by the garage, so it wasn't by the street. So you can't just pick it up if it's not by the street. I was like, okay. So I drove past it, and went and picked up and drove past it again. And I saw the dude that was at the house, and I was like, yo, you getting rid of that fridge? He was like, yeah. He's like, it still works. And he had a bunch of other stuff. He was doing a remodel. So basically, he had a fridge, stove, fireplace. I only took the fridge and the stove. I should go get well, I didn't take the stove, but I'm probably going to go get the stove. He said, I'm going to leave the stove out here for you. That's another $10. But was interesting. He said, I need somebody to help me do remodels. I pay $150 a day. I'm not excited about doing any remodels. I'm going to tell you why. Because the tendons in my knees, it's why I don't run anymore. I got fat. So when I got into that car accident, that impact went all the way up through my body. It caused all my muscles and tendons to get tight. So my back hurts a lot. And muscle just don't do it for me. Nonetheless, so I can't run anymore because the tendons in my knees hurt, my patella tendons. Also, if I kneel down, my tendons, I mean, it'll be be so painful. So I said, I can't help you do any floor remodeling, but I can take away your metal. So he says, yeah, we get a lot of refrigerators and old refrigerators and stuff, we bring in. That's my hog. Might need some air. I got an air pump. That's my baby right here. That's a dent that idiot put in it. That's okay. That's why he got his Jag clipped. But that's my baby right here. Leather seats and all. Can't leave her sitting too long though. And battery drains if you got anything plugged up in it. I had to jump it the other day. But anyway, yeah, so the good thing is, old boy was like, look, I'm gonna need somebody to come and remove some stuff. So I'm gonna be his metal remove guy. That's cool, ain't it? I'll go ahead and get rid of his old refrigerators. He's like, this is what I do. It's my little side gig. He started naming all the big wigs that own all the properties. And so this guy is a plug. He's a regular plug. I said, I'm in. I'm in. I'll come and get all of it. I'll take your scrap away. I said, but mostly metal. I don't want to be hauling. Like, I don't want to, I'm not, like, he had me take some carpet away. So, I took it, but I just, brought it over here and got rid of it. But I don't want to be that guy. But when it comes to your metal, I'll take it away. But that's how he does it. He's like, well, if you take this, you can have this. Because he didn't know that there's money in old refrigerators. Yeah, there's money in refrigerators that don't work. There's money in it. The junkyard, for one. Replacement parts are even more money. So if you got some patience, if you got any bit of patience, and you want to make some money off of refrigerators, all you have to do is take them apart. Now, or you could sell them to somebody who's going to take them apart. When you sell your refrigerator, I know my hair looks crazy. When you sell your refrigerator to the junkyard is just going to recycle the metal. But you can also, at one time, AEP was taking refrigerators. And when they took your refrigerator, they would give you $50 for it. But they would only take 2 refrigerators from one location, and you had to be a member of AEP. So there's that. They don't do that anymore because of COVID. Nonetheless, there are people who, this is what they do. They have a whole yard full of appliances, all broken down, and they sell everything. So you run across a couple of these guys, and it'll look like a junkyard. That's actually, what it is, but it's an appliance junkyard for items that are being resold. So they find a market, whether on Facebook or whatever, and, Amazon or whatever it is, and they either post it or they take it to somebody else who needs the parts. So there is good money in breaking down refrigerators. And what you're going to find is there's refrigerators that are on Facebook and all these other places offer up that people don't want because they break down, and then the people don't want to fix it. They say, I don't want to fix the refrigerator. I don't know how to fix it. So if it's a nice one and it's newer, it's less than, 6 years old, they'll say, hey, come get this refrigerator for, $100, $200. And because it costs $2,600. So they'll say, $200 you can have it. Well, that's a steal if you know how to either fix refrigerators, uh, and or if you know how to sell the parts. So if you're going to fix the refrigerator, let's just say the worst of the worst happens. Like I talked to a guy yesterday, and well, I just think his compressor switch went out. That's what I think, according to what he told me. He's like, I don't fix refrigerators. Come get it if you want it. $200. That was the end of the conversation because I don't want it. I talked to a guy the other day, and I was having him doing some diagnostic on his fridge. And I said, your motherboard went out. That motherboard he can get for $150. So if he bought that refrigerator new, he can get it for $150. He was selling it for $150. He can easily take $150, look up that motherboard, and, boom, get another one. Patch it in yourself. It's not hard. It's just plug and play. It's a couple screws. There's 3 screws to take off the back, and then there's 2 screws to take off the motherboard. And then you just take everything apart. You take a picture of it first. You take everything off. You get the model number. You order it. You order the part. You can get it on Amazon. Hell, I have some motherboards. You can get them on Amazon. Sometimes they're even less than that. But don't buy one new because it's going to be like $300. But you can get a working motherboard on Amazon. Boom, $150. Get it. They match up. Take the other one out slowly. Put the other one in slowly. Match it all up. Boom, plug your fridge in. Boom, you have a working fridge. Now, some people just want to get rid of them, which I understand. Because they don't want to pay a guy like me $60 an hour to come up and try to figure out what's wrong with it. Because I have to take your refrigerator apart, And if I have to take it apart, you're going to pay me a couple $100 just to do it. You're going to pay anybody else more than that. You're going to pay them a couple $100 just to look at it. You're going to pay me a couple $100 to get in and pull off your panels and pull that freezer apart and pull that back panel off. Take everything out of your fridge first, then pull the panels off. And then take a look at what you got back there. If you have a Kenmore, and I'm looking for, it depends on what I'm looking for. If it's not freezing, it just stopped freezing altogether. And most of the time, it's one of your switches. And it's usually it's a compressor issue. So if you're not getting any coolant from the compressor to the rest of the refrigerator, it's just blowing air. Well, then you're looking at either the compressor switch, the housing. There's a couple switches down there. You have to find out which one it is. So I have to go and figure out if your compressor's grounded. It takes a while to do that stuff. But I have to take the back panel off, the lower back panel. I have to take the compressor switch off of it very carefully. Then I have to test those three prongs to see if they're grounded. Then I have to figure out what kind of compressor it is, and then do another grounding test on it. That includes some math. So I have to do a diagram on it, and then see what numbers come off of it, and then do a little math to it and say, okay, this is grounded, this is not grounded. So there's an easier way and there's a harder way. And then if that's okay, then I take your compressor switch and shake it. And if it's making any clicking noise on the inside, then it's your compressor switch. But if it's not making any clicking on the inside, then I have to take and test the housing. So I have to turn your refrigerator back on, and then take my I have to take my little meter, my ohms meter, and test it by touching the hot and the ground wire to your housing of your compressor switch to see if you're getting 120 coming out of the wall. Now let's just say I do that and you're getting 110 coming out of the wall. That means I have to go to the wall, unplug the refrigerator, put my ohms meter inside of your socket and see if your socket has 120 coming out of the wall. If it says 110 or 114, then it's not the refrigerator at all. It's the socket. I've come across 3 people who've done this. And turned out that they didn't even know that this was the problem. The refrigerators can't run off of 110, 114, 109. So they have issues. That's not even the fridge's fault. This is why your fridge is not. That's why your fridge is not keeping cold. It doesn't have enough power. Fridge has got to have power. Fridge doesn't have enough power, can't run right. But anyway, so I want to test to try to figure out who's on first and what's on second. Figure out what switch is doing what. And then if that's not it, depends on the make and model. If it's a Kenmore Elite, and you're looking at the control panel is going to have a reset switch on it. So you have to, and that's an all-in-one panel. There's usually 2 panels. So if you have a control panel, you have to look for the reset switch. You hit the reset switch, it kicks on the compressor. That compressor kicks on, and the fan kicks on, and then it starts cooling down the freezer only. That's one. You hit it again, it turns on both the fan at the bottom and at the top. So now your whole fridge is starting to cool. That's 2. That doesn't work. 3, then your defrost system only comes on, so the compressor turns off. The fans turn off. Your defrost system inside of your freezer comes on, and you can hear it melting the ice or whatever. But if it's no ice to melt, then you're not going to hear any. Runs through that cycle. And then 4, it's all over. And then sometime that resets the whole refrigerator, and it comes on and it works fine. If that doesn't work, let's say it's a Kenmore. Well, Kenmores do not have, which I just found this out, thermostats. So there's no thermostat in the top or the bottom. What's in there is a sensor switch. So you have a sensor switch at the top of the fridge and at the bottom of the fridge. So you have to go into the bottom of the fridge. You have to take the door off. You have to take everything in the freezer out, including the rails that hold the door from going in. You have to take now you have to take both of those out. So you have to unscrew the rail, take the whole damn thing out, pull out the back panel, and there's a sensor switch there. That sensor switch is just going to be hanging there. So you're going to see it's going to have red and blue wiring or green wiring or something like that. So you have to test the housing where it's coming out and see if the ohms is correct and coming out of there. See if it has continuity. So you hook up your meter and go beep, beep, beep. See if it has continuity. Okay. You have continuity. You have power. Then you have to test the switch itself and test its housing. It has continuity. Okay. So boom. Now, you have to put that back together. This takes hours. You have to put that back together and say, okay, it's not your sensor switch. You don't have a thermostat down here. Maybe you have a thermistor. You look and see if you have a thermistor. No thermistor. Are you going, what is it? What is it? What is it? Then what you have to do is go back to the bottom of the refrigerator and where there is the coils. So there's a little coil packet, the metal coils that go around. There's that coil sitting right there where your compressor is. Not anymore. I was. Yeah, I came in because my nose started running. But I can go back outside if you want. I don't know who this is, but I can go back out if you want. Anyway, so I'm just talking about what I do, just refrigerators, because it's just on my mind. Because I'm thinking about going to appliance school. I have a degree, but I'm not using it. But I'm thinking about getting deeper into this appliance thing. I'm fascinated by refrigerators, and I don't know why. I'm fascinated by, you know what? I have a detective's mind. So I'm fascinated by fixing things. Yeah. So anyway, so you go to the coil, and where you see that coil at the bottom of the back of the refrigerator, this is a GE leak. And what you have to do is test how warm that coil is when it's running. If the house is 70 degrees, 72 degrees or whatever, and you take your heat meter, and that coil is 72 degrees, then that coil is broken. You have to replace the coil. If that coil should say like 95 or something like that, 94, boom, then that coil is working correctly. But if it doesn't, it's actually the coil. And if it's none of those problems and it still isn't working, shoot, then you have to look at your biggest problem. Your biggest problem is the motherboard itself. So if you do all that, then the motherboard is actually messed up. And you have to get rid of the motherboard. But yeah, I was outside, but my nose started to do a thing. So that's if it's a Kenmore Elite. Uh, you got, if it's a GE, it's a lot of those things too, but GEs, shoot, if it's a GE, you have thermostats on GE refrigerators. So sometimes, and thermistors. So on a GE refrigerator, if it's not the coil and it's not the compressor switch and or the compressors weren't running correctly, what you have to do is you have to go into your freezer. You have to pull out, everything in the freezer, and you have to get to your thermostats. A little thing like this. It's round. It's about that round. It's silver and black. You got to pull that out, and you have to cut it out. Then you have to take that, and you have to put that into a freezing condition. So, take it home and freeze it to see if it's opening and closing. And once you do that, you figure out that it's not opening and closing at the temperature it should, then that was your problem. It cost you about $40. So a lot of people are throwing away refrigerators simply because they don't want to take the time to pay, and they don't want to take the money and pay a tech, to come out and try to figure out what's wrong with it. And they want you to do it in a hurry. So it's good money though. I mean, if you do 2 refrigerators a day, you'd be looking at over $1,000 easy. But yeah, I was outside though. Uh, but I'm hungry, so I came back in and got to talk about refrigerators. So yeah, you know. Also on GEs, if you take the control panel, if you have a GE refrigerator, you take the control panel, the front of it off, and look at it to see if the light's blinking. So you should have a blinking light in there. And sometimes they don't have a reset switch. So you have to use that by the control pad in the front of the refrigerator. You have to hit energy saver and light at the same time, and boom, it resets the refrigerator. Sometimes that fixes your problem because there's not a reset switch on a control panel. So if it's blinking and you have to count how many times it's blinking. Now, some of them will have a diagram that says this is what's wrong with it if it's blinking this many times. If it doesn't have a diagram, and it's just, sitting there blinking, well, there's a good chance that your compressor went out. How do you know if your compressor went out? One of the tests for a compressor is you turn your refrigerator on, your compressor will start, vibrating, right? If the compressor is cool and it never warms up, it's not working. So yeah, if you turn your refrigerator, if you unplug it, wait a few minutes and plug it back in, and you hear the compressor kick in, and then you hear a switch, you hear you hear this sound, you hear that means your compressor just kicked off. The first time the compressor kicked on, then the switch that's connected to the compressor is bad and it told the compressor to kick back off. So you can have a working compressor, but a horrible switch costs about $70. And it'll turn that thing right back off. And you'll be like, okay, what's the deal? So you go and get yourself a new switch. Yeah. You like washing machines? I like selling them. Like a guy tried to sell me a washing machine and a dryer. I bought the dryer, but he tried to sell me the washing machine, and the washing machine was turned when I went there. But when it was turned on, it was just spinning, and there was clothes in it, but the motor was running, but the drum wasn't spinning. And then I looked at it, and I said, "Wait a minute, this is on spin rinse, but it's not spinning." So I took it through the cycles again, and then put it on, spin rinse. And what happened is there is a band that there's a pulley on washing machines and dryers. If that pulley is disconnected, and it's just a little rubber band that goes around the washer and dryers. If that pulley is disconnected, then the washer will not spin. And if it doesn't, you'll hear the water draining out of it, but it won't spin. So, it can get all the water out of it. And that's what was wrong with it. So I didn't feel like fixing it. Uh, you know, he only charged me $30 for the dryer. Yeah. Uh, and I could have left. And the thing about it was, I didn't really need the dryer, but I just bought a refrigerator from this guy. I bought a refrigerator, stove, and a dishwasher from him for $300 for all of it. That refrigerator alone was worth $300. But I got all of that for $300. So he's like, I got a washer and dryer, and then turns out one thing is bad. But what I got was another contact. Because, see, my main contact flaked out on me. These guys used to bring me truckloads of stuff, and I would pick what I want. But they tried to beat me. So, I haven't heard from them since. So I just picked up two contacts on one street. So, you know, that's what I needed. I needed another contact. And other than doing it myself, I mean, I can do it myself, but it's better when you have guys who have appliances and they call you up instead of you going out trying to fish for it. And they're honest. You're paying them in cash. So I mean, that guy could have just been like, "Oh, it works," and then it didn't work, and then I would have had to, had beef with him. Uh, but he's honest, and he works for a company that does remodeling on houses. So this is two different guys on one street. So, I bought that item from him so I can, be in good graces. That's just how you do. You got to spend some money sometime. I already bought a couple items from it, but I bought the dryer from him so I can, stay in good graces. So the next time when they're working on another house, he'll say, "Hey, I have this," and I'll be able to test to see if it works first. And that's why I fell out with the other guys on the truck. They sold me a fridge, which I still have, that didn't work. And I said, well, you know, just give me a fridge that works in exchange for it. But they didn't want to do that. So basically, they wanted to keep my money and say, screw you, which is what they did. I said, okay. So, it was what, 150 bucks? And I'm not out 150 bucks, I tried to fix on it, but I'm just going to sell it for parts because it's a really nice fridge, It's downstairs. I'm going to sell it for parts, but I'm also running on it, to try to get better at fixing things. So I don't have to go into a customer's house and waste a lot of time trying to figure out what something is. Uh, the more time that you spend at a customer's house, the more they have to pay you. That does sound good until the customer gets upset when you don't figure out what the problem is. Then the customer, spreads the word. Yeah, I spent 200 bucks with this guy and he didn't figure out what the problem was. Of course, anybody who knows and this is people who don't know anything about refrigerators. But when you have somebody who knows something about refrigerators and you tell them that, they're going to be like, you were lucky. Because, there's stories of people spending $700 and still not knowing what's going on. Or the tech telling them that it's fixed and then it goes out on them a couple days later. Stuff like that. This really does happen. So, but these people, it's cool. So, yeah, washers and dryers. But I usually like working on refrigerators for the most part. I just got into them first because they were making me money. I'll see what your name is. Rains Mix. Yeah. Refrigerators make me money. Washers and dryers too. I have a contact who, what he does is what he does is he contacts me, says, I have a client. I want you to go and get their washer and dryer. And when you get it, you pay me. So he'll tell them that I'll come pick it up if I agree to it. I'll go pick up their washer and dryer or their fridge. And then I have to pay him for the item, So it's a finder's fee. It's like 80 bucks for the washer and dryer, which is not terrible, especially if it's a working set. So it costs me 80 bucks plus gas. It's not a big deal. But the other day, my storage unit is full. The other day he got upset at me because I couldn't go pick up one of the, washer and dryer. He was like, you're not selling fast enough. I didn't want to hear that. He's like, I have another set, like, let's go. You need to sell them faster. And I was like, kiss my grits, you sell them yourself. If I'm full, I'm full, And that's just that. I'm not in a hurry for nobody. I love what I do because it's what I do. I take my time. I'm not trying to get rich. But it's what I do. I take my time. I do what I want to do. I don't sit there and try to, you know what I mean? It's what I want to do. I'm not in a hurry for nobody. I don't want a boss. I just don't. I have no desire to have a boss. So if I want to sleep all day, I sleep all day. If I want to do nothing all day, I do absolutely nothing all day. When I want to get up and work, I get up and go to work. I do what I want, wherever I want. You know what, Christopher? CJW, I'm doing all right. How you doing? How you doing? What's good with you? It's CJW, everybody. Glad to stop by. Siege. CJW. Yeah, I do what I want to do. Now, here's something I realized. So I've been contemplating. What is hair nappy? I've been contemplating going back to school because I'm gonna tell you why. I wouldn't mind having a master's degree. I want some type of tech. Like I have a degree, but I need something to go with it. I just do. I need something to. Like it's okay, but I don't know, maybe a couple certificates or something. I can link to it where I can just be a subcontractor. Because I'm never going to be a corporate guy. But I can be a corporate guy. So I'm never going to be the guy that you want to see coming in your office. You know, I don't want to be there long. I know you guys don't like me. I don't care if you like me or not. What I care about is being a specialist. You know, you hire a guy who knows how to do this. Boom, I'm that guy. I'm state certified, that guy. You know, I put the money and time and education behind it to be that guy. You know, I come in, investigate the situation for whatever it is, and probably public health. And then I leave. I thought about being an inspector. I'm not sure I want to do that, but if I have to do that, I still have to go back to school for at least a year. Because I have to get some more science classes under my belt. So probably some plant biology. I actually like plant biology. I actually like biology. So probably a couple more biology classes, plant biology classes. Probably wouldn't hurt to get another math class in there. But I struggle with algebra, but I love biology. Maybe physics 101. I don't know, geometry, something. So I need a year of classes. But I figure if I'm going to get a year of classes, you know, to be an inspector, I might as well get a 2-year degree. I might as well just, you know, put $30,000 together. You know, see if I can get a 2-year degree out of it. You know, get my master's degree. Biggest problem with that is one, you gotta, know what school you're going to. School I want to go to, the master's degree I want, it's about $35,000, which is not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is my GPA is 2.4 and they want it to be 3.0. So I can't get in it. So I have to choose another school. But I've always wanted to graduate from Ohio State University because everybody knows Ohio State University. It's the prestige that I was after. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. At any rate, it's your boy Tone 202. Thanks for stopping by.